talking with Kerry Sharpe MLC, and it's all to do with the ongoing investigation into the child abuse situation on the Isle of Man. Particularly, obviously, there's things in front of the court and an ongoing story, so I'm obviously being slightly careful today because we don't know what exactly might be happening behind the scenes. But Kerry, you haven't talked to me about this particularly, except for years ago we did an interview with you when you started the journey to write a book about the Children's Centre. And your background is investigative journalism, BBC. And little did anyone know at that time where your journey would take you. Can you give us some of the background?
Well, yeah, you're right. I mean, I spoke to you at the start of this whole journey, and I thought it would take me a year to research and write the book. But the more I got into it, the more I discovered that this was an area which no one had ever looked at before, and in particular when I got to the 1970s, of course, and I started to interview staff and former children who'd been at Knottfield, the stories of abuse began to come out. I then looked at the monthly and annual reports of the children's home at the time, and it was clear that there's a lot of information there which, when you read it with retrospect, knowing what was happening, it's only too clear that...
it's that thing, you opened a can of worms, didn't you, really? Things that have been buried, things that have been sort of suppressed, would you say?
Yes, and particularly with it being the Isle of Man, I think it's a small community, and, you know, in some ways you can say everyone knows what's going on, but on the other hand, when you've got a very small, tight-knit community, it can also be easy to keep the lid on things. And I think what we're seeing with this report, with the inquiry and then the report and its recommendations, I'm just really proud to be part of this administration, which is big enough and brave enough to look at this particular subject area. Well,
there was a report, there's also this investigations going on, criminal as well, we think, but, you know, as I said, we don't touch on that today. Do you think justice will be done? Do you think it is possible? Bearing in mind these things are quite historical now?
It depends what you mean by justice, Paul. I mean, for former children whose lives are still being affected by what happened, you know, how can you ever make up for that?
Mr. Cretney's doing a report into this. I think he's heading this sort of thing. Do you think he's getting anywhere? Are you happy with the process that's going on?
I think that the inquiry's been very wide-ranging, and I think that the outcome is a very detailed response.
Do you think there's more to come?
We'll have to see.
And what do you would like to hope? What will be the end game for you on this?
That's a difficult one, because I can't speak on behalf of, if we're talking about the 1970s, the survivors of abuse. It's not for me to say what is and isn't acceptable. It's for those survivors.
Will the book ever see the light of day, by the way? Was that long gone now, because obviously things have moved on?
Well, obviously, since I took on this role as MLC, I haven't been working on the book. However, it's something which I was very much committed to for 4 years of my life, because I knew it was a story that had to be told, and I will tell that story.
When do you think that time will be?
I can't put an exact date on it. I wish I could, but I would like to say within the next year to 18 months.
And for anybody else out there, what would you say to somebody else who's watching this now thinking, I should have spoken out? Is it too late?
It's never too late. Obviously, it's not the route that everyone wants to go down. However, I do know from having spoken to interviewees that they do often feel a sense of relief at talking to whoever it is. You know, it can just be a friend. It could be talking to the inquiry. But it's up to the individual to decide, because I think it's important also to make sure that you've got access to proper medical help. You know, you can always talk to your GP. I think it's important to make sure that, you know, you can access counselling if you need to. It's certainly no easy task.
And I know you say you're part of the book, but if someone wants to contact you about that or have something to add, you'd like to hear from them?
Of course I would. I'm still collecting information for the book, and if anyone wants to contact me, I'm easy to find here at Registered Buildings.